Hi, this is Matthew Robert Payne. This is Conversations with God. This is chapter 12, part 12, The Promise. This is the Father speaking. When my son was due to leave Earth between the Last Supper and the Garden of Gethsemane, he talked to his disciples and told them that he was going to go and he wasn't going to leave them orphans, but would send a helper to help them. And 10 days after his ascension, the Holy Spirit fell in the book of Acts in the upper room. And the promise that was promised by Jesus, the helper, the Holy Spirit came to the earth and had a dramatic effect on the earth. Peter, who weeks before had denied Jesus 3 times, become bold and even preached and was locked in prison and bust out of prison and continued preaching. So he became bold as a lion because of the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is in a believer's life to help them and help them overturn sin and conquer sin. And the Holy Spirit can be used for power. The Holy Spirit can do miraculous things through a Christian. It says in Ephesians 3:20 that you can do exceedingly abundantly more than you can ask or think, according to the power that works within you. So the Holy Spirit can imbue you with power and authority, and he is your helper, he's your counselor, he's your friend, he's your guide, and you can truly be blessed knowing the Holy Spirit. Matthew speaking. I first, as a Christian, came to know Jesus, and then I was introduced to the Father, and I got to know the Father. I chiefly got to know the Father really well when I did Conversations with God, book 1, book 2, and book 3. I did them in quick succession. And I got to know the Father really well through those books. And you would get to know the Father well if you read those books. And if you go to the description tag, I've got a book that's free with those 3 books in it. But I got to know the Father after that. After that, I did a series on YouTube called Conversations with the Holy Spirit. You can see that on my YouTube homepage, that playlist, about 50 videos. You can listen to them and come to know the voice of the Holy Spirit. And when I did Conversations with the Holy Spirit, I developed a relationship with the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit become a vital part of my life, and now I'm led by the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit leads my life and directs my life. He orders my days and organizes my days, and I take directions through impressions of the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit can speak to me in a voice, but most often he speaks to me through impressions. And he's a good counselor, he's a good friend, and he instructs me and guides me and directs me, along with my personal angels that direct me and guide me and help me in things. So the Holy Spirit is the promise that Jesus organized, and sadly the Holy Spirit gets used and abused by Pentecostals and charismatics, and absolutely no value is placed on him by people who are cessationalists that don't believe in the gifts of the Holy Spirit and the power of the Holy Spirit. So on one hand, the Holy Spirit gets abused and used. On the other hand, the Holy Spirit gets ignored. There's few people who actually walk and led by the Holy Spirit. It says in Romans 10:14, I think, it says that those who are led by the Holy Spirit, these are the sons of God. So many people assume that they're a son of God, and yet they're a son of God when they're being led by the Holy Spirit. I would say less than 10% of people who are Christians are led by the Holy Spirit. But the Holy Spirit is meant to be leading your life and directing your life each day. And it just simply doesn't happen. So the Holy Spirit is a vital part of my life, and I'm so thankful for Father for having the Holy Spirit in my life. God speaking. The Holy Spirit is a big part of your life, Matthew, and he's meant to be there the way that he is in your life, and he directs you and guides you each day. Just even doing the videos for this book, you've been guided today and given the inspiration to do 6 videos already, 6 chapters of the book, and you've been energized and inspired by the Holy Spirit to do everything that you've done. And the Holy Spirit loves you and delights in you and is very close to you. The reason why you manifest his presence and you manifest the glory of God is because the Holy Spirit feels so close to you, feels so comfortable with you. There's hardly anything you do that upsets the Holy Spirit. And he really is the promise. He really is the counselor and the guide and the helper in your life. And dear reader, the Holy Spirit wants to be part of your life. The Holy Spirit wants to guide you and direct you with thoughts and impressions each day. He wants to be a big part of your life and be your guide and your direction. And he simply isn't, in many instances, the guide and the direction in many people's lives. And that's a shame, because he's got the potential of leading you and directing you each day. Matthew is very experienced with the guidance and the direction of the Holy Spirit, and the Holy Spirit brings peace and joy and comfort and the presence of God to Matthew's life, and gives him direction and purpose and meaning in his life. Matthew's totally fulfilled with his life, and even though he's waiting for doors to be opened for ministry, he's quite proficient at producing books and producing books for free on the internet that people can read and download and be blessed by. Matthew is constantly growing and being directed to read books by the Holy Spirit and by his angels. He lives a supernatural life, and the Holy Spirit guides him and directs him in everything he does. So you too can be guided and directed by the Holy Spirit, and you too can know the presence of the Holy Spirit, and you can also know what it is to walk in the manifested glory of God, which the Holy Spirit provides, and you can shine like a star in the universe. You can have the Holy Spirit arise over you and make your skin shine, make the presence of God be glorified in your life. You can be glorified in front of men, and stand out and be a tree of life to mankind. You can live the Psalm 1:3 passage that you should be planted by the rivers, bearing its fruit in season, and its leaf not wither, and whatever he does prospers. You can live that Psalm 1:3 promise, and you can be a tree of life to people. You can be the answer to people. You can possess the answers for people's problems and people's issues. You can have the wisdom of the Holy Spirit to solve problems and give people directions and clear directions and help in their time of need. You can be the answer to people and help people with life, and help people manage when they find it hard to manage and hard to get by in life. You can provide the answers and be a wellspring of life to them, just like a tree buds and has fruit that come off it that can be picked and eaten for nourishment. So too can you be a tree full of fruit that people can pick and be nourished by. Matthew was surprised that his income dropped as less people read his books and were encouraged to get a prophecy off him. And even though his income has dropped, he's still been given inspiration and has got a necessary income to produce books. It's just he's producing less books and less frequent now, but we've continued to supply him, and the Holy Spirit continues to inspire him with new books to do. And you notice in the last chapter I talked about his new book about saints in heaven, and he's interested in that book and excited to do that book. So the Holy Spirit can inspire you, can direct you, can counsel you, can comfort you, can bless you, can imbue you with power. It can do signs and wonders and miracles with the Holy Spirit. You can be translated from one place to another. You can see visions. You can experience saints in heaven. You can experience heaven. All these things can be carried out by the power of the Holy Spirit. And so the Holy Spirit really is the promise. The Holy Spirit really is the answer. So I hope you've been blessed by this chapter, and God bless you and keep you.